So hey, this is Luke Edmondson, and I'm here with Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. Well, we're so honored you're going to be coming down to the Dallas PPA and share some of your knowledge with us, which is super appreciated. And I believe that you're going to be coming next Tuesday, in fact.
Yes, already. I'm looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's like it's June already. Wow.
Yeah, the calendar just turned. I love it.
Yeah.
And so for your evening program, what I see that the title for this is called the Artistic Senior Experience. Give us a bit of background about who you are and why this Artistic Senior Experience is going to be a program that people should really see on Tuesday night.
Yeah, sure. So basically, if you don't know my story, I'll kind of cover it here a little bit, and I won't go in depth and everything, but I basically started over in the photography industry, maybe 6-7 years ago now, and had no clients and very little equipment, and just like started completely over, a different city, even though it was still within the same area. So that kind of forced me to do a lot of things, to change and adapt, and
Yep.
it really pushed me, business-wise as well. And so I came up with a lot of techniques and, borrowed techniques and mentored with people and combined different things together, and, came up with ways to, do sales differently, to attract clients differently. And so I'm going to cover all of that information, and, especially when I see a lot on Facebook groups and stuff now, is that people are really struggle with that. Like, how do I not only get clients, but it's like, well, how do you get those high averages?
Sure.
And there's no real easy answer. It's kind of complicated, but it starts like it's like a chicken and egg thing. Like it goes round and round, and it starts with attracting the right people, and then so people say, well, how do I attract the right people? And for a long time, I'm like, am I just lucky? I'm really blessed, and I get really great clients. But then I realized that when I started over, what I did is I made lists, and I really came up with who my ideal client was. And once, not only my ideal client, but I also realized that I really just want to focus on senior photography and really go into that niche and like be like the best, hopefully, or just know everything about the marketing end and the sales end and everything that goes into the senior end. And then from there, I went even deeper, like, okay, who's my ideal senior client? So really coming up with those things, and through the years refining those ideas and who that client is really helped me get the right client. So then when they're in front of my camera, then the photography comes, which a lot of times the photography you think comes first, which it does. But when you start to, put all those pieces together, that's where really the payoff is at the end. So yeah, that's it.
So if I understood correctly, when you talked even in the beginning about techniques, you're really referencing here a bit more on like the business, the marketing. Those were the techniques more so than, let's say, the camera techniques. You were really tuning into what those were and figuring out how to make those work for your business.
Exactly, because a lot of people get in photography, and I did as well. You're kind of excited with the art of photography, and you're taking photographs, and people are recognizing your style and everything, and that's good, and that helps build your business, and that helps pre-qualify people as well. But then you realize, hey, I need to make money doing this. Yep. Otherwise it's just a hobby. And so then you start looking more on the business end, and that's where I said kind of chicken egg, because you have to always refine your technical skills in photography, but then your business end as well. And once those two start to come together, you realize, I'm on to something here, or the fact that, I've worked so hard on my photography, now I need to get the most out of each client. So how can I like really refine systems, which is marketing and workflow and, the ideal client, so that it's really the best use of my time.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're trading, isn't it? We're trading our time for money.
Right. And so you still need good quality images, I guess, the short version of it, but yet good business. Or, I've seen tons of great artists that, they don't make that much money. Yep. And I've seen like photographers who are just killing it, and they come up to me and like, well, your work is like so far above mine, but I respect them because their business is so good. I'm like, you can have a great business, and that's far exceeds any artistic talent if I'm not making money. So
exactly right. I find that there's three types of artists. There's the natural artists, which you touched on. They're brilliant at concepts but terrible at business. And then there's the learned artist, which kind of has to work in order to be able to do all the stuff. And then there's the business artists who everybody can outshoot, but they're making all the money, and we should celebrate them as well.
Right, exactly, yeah. And then some artists kind of maybe look down on that type of, I'm like, no, not me at all, man. I respect it. Like, that someone's like, well, if you have a $4,000 average and someone else will have a $300 average, yeah. But if that $300 average is a volume shooter and they're shooting 10,000 sessions, I don't care if you have a $4,000 average if you're only shooting 20 sessions a year, So, yeah, there's all those little things that go into it. And, yeah, it's about, in the long run, I do this full time, so I need to make a living at it.
Don't we all?
Pay the bills, I should say. Yeah. And, I'm kind of the weird artist where I can get super creative in that side of my brain.
Uh-huh.
And then I can get super like techie and business in the other, but I can't do both at once.
Sure.
So I have specific days where I'm like, here's my business day, and then here's my art day, and that's what works for me. And otherwise, and there's days where I'm all over the place because I'm creative that way too.
Of course, of course.
Ask my wife. She's like, how do you manage all that going on? I'm like, I know. I try and like organize it, but sometimes it's all over the place.
The real question is, babe, why did you choose me? You could have chosen anyone to be married to, but you chose me. This set of problems, you got it.
Yeah. It's like, that's interesting in the beginning, then it gets exhausting.
Exactly. And then eventually, hopefully, it gets interesting again. They're reminded why they loved you in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that'll be our evening session, which will be business. It'll be marketing. It'll be about seniors, but at the same time, it's probably applicable to many different genres of photography for anybody that's trying to figure out how to build their business, grow their clients, find the ideal clients, things like that. I'm assuming it's not limited only to seniors, but it's specialized to seniors.
It is specialized to seniors because that's what I do. But yes, I mean it's about like in-person sales. Mm-hmm. It's about marketing and finding your ideal client, and then creating imagery, that stands out, so that you're different and you're standing out from the crowd, so that people choose you in the first place, and don't choose you just on price.
Sure, and that always becomes the thing, and then they keep you because they like your personality, hopefully.
Yeah, right, and it also goes into a little bit of like not comparing, because it's easy to compare yourself, and I do it. We all do it as artists, but they hire you because of you, and they're not hiring based on comparing all these other photographers. I mean, I love PPA, and I love the people that I become friends with through PPA and speaking and doing all these things. But sometimes when you compare yourself to all these other people, it can be like damaging to your soul. But in your area, have no idea who these other people are.
Exactly. You're the best thing they know about, and they want you.
And they want you. Exactly. What it boils down to is they hired you. They want you. Just be the best you. And that's all you can ask for. Yeah.
So you mentioned there about creating some compelling imagery, and I think that's a natural segue to lead us into the day session that you're going to do the following day, which is creating art on the fly. And to me, it seems like there's kind of two components to it. You have the art side of it, where you're creating something that's different than, let's say, just a photo that you might take. It's a photo that you make in some way, whether it's in post or before. But then the on the fly suggests that there's an element of speed to it. So talk a bit about that. What's that day session going to be like?
Yeah, exactly. And I did a one-day jumpstart class at Sync last year, and that's where I kind of came up with this on the fly thing. I realized there's something that I've always done. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and like he had chores and different things, and my idea was to come up with some kind of creative task or a creative method of doing things really quick, so then I can do fun things. And that's carried over my whole life. I'm always like, how can I do this quicker and that? So, when I started doing photography and started getting into composites and all these things, I studied with, Richard Sturtevant and other people, and it's like, man, I get bored easy too. I think as a creative person, I need to move on to the next thing.
Yep.
So I'm spending so much time, and it's like time is money, especially in your own business. And so I'm like, I need a way to speed this stuff up and still make it look good. There's times where I can spend more time, but I'm going to get paid more for that.
Uh-huh.
And again, as photographers, artists, sometimes we get caught in that realm of maybe laboring over all these little details that people don't necessarily notice. So I've come up with all these techniques to speed this process along, only because it's my personality and I get bored. And I also feel like when people first get into composites, like when I first got into composite, there wasn't a lot of education out there. And so I had to discover a lot of things on my own.
Uh-huh.
So I came up with shortcuts, and then I like trained with other people, and I'm like, oh, like I said, I need to shorten this down. So, and it can be overwhelming. I'd been doing photography, and actually I was a graphic artist before, so I knew a lot about Photoshop. So then it was just applying those techniques.
Yep.
But if you're new to trying to get into some sort of composite, it's overwhelming. And so a lot of people get discouraged. So I want to let them know, like, don't get discouraged. Try these easier things first and then build your way up to the more advanced things. But in the meantime, you can easily produce wow images that are going to attract the clients that you want to attract, and they're going to pay you extra as an artist, but you don't have to spend, weeks on an image.
Sure. And I think that's key, is to set yourself as an artist, you can call them artificial boundaries, but in this case, maybe based off price. If they're only paying you X amount, then you've got whatever time you have to spend on it, 30 minutes, an hour. You're not going to spend a week making it perfect for print comp for somebody that's only paying you X amount for the product. And so it's good to have those.
Right, absolutely. And then when you, like I said, when you get better, and like print comp had pushed me to get better and pushed myself, like, okay, I'm going to do more. And I spent a lot of time, on those images, but then those images become great marketing images. So it kind of, circles back around. But if they want that type of imagery, well, either I have a template already built through that, or, they're going to have to just pay extra. Like, okay, here's the base. If it's only taking me 15 minutes to drop it into a background, this is base price. Or this, have to order at least a 16 by 24 portrait.
Right.
So you get in your money back. But then the more advanced stuff, it's like, okay, then I'm going to have to charge a little bit more.
Sure.
It's no different than a session. Like you have, at least for like 1 hour session, 1.5 hour session, or I just added one this year. So it used to be 1.5 and 3 hours, but I put it in between one in now as well. Kind of went back to the 3 session thing this year, but yeah, it's like more time. So why not? Why shouldn't it be more?
So should people bring their laptops with them to the day session, or is it more like just come bring your notebook? What should they bring to be prepared for the day session?
That's an excellent question. I got an email this weekend with that very question. I was out of town this weekend, but I did see that email come through yesterday. It was a very good question, because I'm like, I think they can bring their laptops. I think what I want to do is cover a lot of information, so they can maybe follow along. But instead of just getting one technique down completely, I'd rather show a bunch of different techniques. And if you want to kind of follow along, you can. But if you don't have a laptop and don't be set up, that's okay. It's not like a full-on, we're going to do step A, B, C, and D, especially because when I teach a week-long class, you can kind of, where everyone's level is, and you have a week to get everyone up to speed. We only have one day where I want to do some shooting and I want to do some demo. So it's more if you, want to watch and pick those things up, if you want to follow along with the laptop. But we're not going to wait till everyone creates and then we get to the next level. Otherwise, we won't get through hardly anything that day.
Sure. So what I hear you saying is there's going to be some shooting that you're going to do, some demoing, and then you'll probably take that and show them different possibilities for interpretations of what you might be able to do. Whether it was, as you suggested, you might even have templates in your back pocket that you go, I pull from this in order to make something quick, or here's how I do something more complex. But you'll kind of walk them through on a high level a variety of different approaches that ultimately give them the ability to hopefully sell to their clients something that they can produce quickly at the end of the day.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's pretty much it. That's exactly it. I have a problem where I was just shooting a video last week too. It's like, whenever I teach, I want to show everything.
Sure.
And even though I've been teaching for so many years, I still want to do that. I want to give the most value.
Yep.
And I realize I need to reel it in. Like, we can only cover so much. Like, you can't give away everything, even though you want to. But I always feel like even when I go to to a program, if I can pick one little nugget out, it's worth it. And there's different levels. Like someone that might just be into just starting photography, and then someone's been doing it for so many years. So I try and give something for everyone when I teach.
That's great. I love it. Well, I super appreciate you hopping on here with us. We're so looking forward to having you down here in Dallas.